What's going on, everybody? This is your guy, AC The Future, and welcome to a special edition of Urban City Radio, where we bring you the sounds of boots on the ground. On tonight, or today, whenever the show airs, we have brought to you a special presentation for those of you that are interested in buying a house. Listen, the information that they're getting ready to share on tonight is definitely information you're going to want to grab. So I suggest you get your paper, your pens, your tablets, your notebooks. Make sure you're listening. Make sure you comment in the comment sections. They are present on this live video as we speak, ready to answer any questions that you may have. So make sure you tune in to follow as they get ready to go through everything they're going to share on tonight to get you ready for buying your house. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic as they get ready to introduce themselves, tell you who they are and what it is that they do, starting right here on my right.
Hey everyone, I'm Judy Murphy. I work with Panford Real Estate, and I work with buyers and sellers who are looking to invest in themselves and start in the real estate market.
Greetings, everyone. I'm DC Terry with Mr. Mortgage. I'm a mortgage broker. We cover the state of South Carolina, handling purchases and refinances, as well as investment portfolio loans, et cetera, et cetera.
Jamel Clark, owner of Integrity Property Inspections. I provide inspections for home buyers and home sellers, help identify any potential defects, and reveal the condition of your home.
I'm Tressa Clark. I'm a licensed realtor with Panford Premier Real Estate. I work with buyers, sellers, and investors.
All right, there you have it. That is our all-star cast that we have for you on today. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get the show started with Ms. Judy, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Judy. She's going to go ahead and start the ball rolling, and I'll be here to insert questions as we go along the way.
Okay, guys. So we came together tonight just kind of bring the home buyer workshop directly to you in the comforts of your own home, on your phone, at work, wherever you may be looking at the show at. Most home buyer workshops are held where you have to come in, may have to find a babysitter or make adjustments in order to start the home buying process. So we want to make it a little easier for you and give you all this information right up front. We would like for you to comment, ask questions so that we can help you get started and invest into yourself. And one of the first things that you will need to do when you're looking or you're getting ready to purchase your own home is take a look at yourself. Make sure that you're ready to make this investment because it's one of the most major investments you're going to make in your lifetime. So we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. So the first thing after taking a look at yourself, seeing, okay, am I ready for this? Am I ready to get started? Am I ready to be an adult? Things like that, because a lot of people just want to, play the rental game for a little while, but sometimes you got to take that $1,000 that you're paying to the apartment complex and put it into your own home. So once you're ready to make that step, hey, you can reach out to me, reach out to any other like Teresa. And the first thing we will do is have a heart-to-heart conversation with you. This heart-to-heart conversation is pretty much going to ask the same questions that you should be asking yourself prior to making that call. Am I ready? Am I ready to do this? And so the initial conversation may not be face-to-face. I've had this conversation over the phone, through Facebook messages, even through text messages, because depending upon your time, you may not be able to talk. So, but the primary thing is you have to take that first step. You have to take a leap of faith. Like, yeah, I'm going to call her. Because if I don't call her, then how am I going to know if I'm ready? The guy 3 months ago said that maybe you shouldn't buy a house because for some other reason. But you know that you have the finances. You know that you're ready to stop paying someone else's mortgage and actually pay your own mortgage. So the first thing that you need to do again is reach out to a real estate broker, real estate agent, same thing. When we're working with buyers, we're not getting, you don't have to pay us to help you. We're doing this because we want to help you invest in you. So that's the most primary thing. If when you call me, that's the first thing I'm going to ask you.
All right. So I have a question, especially for those that are like first time home buyers, completely ignorant to the experience. What is something that you look for if you're trying to find a good realtor? Because a lot of people don't know that that is even, an issue.
Yeah.
That is such thing as not
issue.
having a good. So how do you look to know that you're getting a good realtor, especially in that process?
Well, it all depends on what are they asking you when you reach out to them. Is the first thing they saying is, hey, I can get you proof right now. That may not be the person to go with. The first thing I ask someone is, how soon are you looking to purchase a home? And they were like, well, maybe next month. Have you gotten started? Mm-hmm. What have you done to start your home buying process? Because if you want to purchase a house next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line, you have to get started now. Mm-hmm. It's not something you're going to wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to go buy this house. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way. So, or the next thing that you should look for when you're looking for a good realtor is pretty much you have to fill them out. Yeah. Because this is someone you're going to be spending a lot of time conversating with, a lot of time going out with, looking for houses. You need to know that you trust this person, that they're not going to tell you, hey, you need to buy this house right here. Yeah. Or they're not going to be like, hey, I know you're pre-approved for $95,000, but hey, but let's put in an offer. Let's get this one instead, because it's more money. Yeah. Because they're looking in the long run. I'm gonna get paid a little bit more off of this one, versus what you're actually comfortable in spending, or what you can afford to spend is the main question. So, in our initial workshop, that's one of the main questions I ask you. How much do you think you can afford in a mortgage? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I can spend $1,000, but you're paying $700 right now on rent. Yeah. But you want $1,000 mortgage. Yeah. That ain't gonna add up. It's not gonna add up. It's not gonna go together. And so, once I ask you, how much you can afford, the next question I'm going to ask is, well, how's your credit looking? Mm-hmm. Because again, you may want to buy a house right now, but you may not be able to buy a house right now. Your credit not right. So, primary thing I would do after I ask my initial questions, your affordability, your time frame in which you're looking to move, your credit standings. A lot of people don't know their credit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They don't know what their credit is and never checked it. They don't know how it's going to help them, how it's not going to help them. And so from that point, I turn it over to my man to my left right here, Mr. Terry, who takes over and take you from there.
All right, Mr. Terry, what it is?
Yes, sir.
What do you do in this process?
I'm the money guy.
You're the money guy. Yes, sir.
Without the money, nothing happens.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No one gets paid. No one gets a home. That money has to transfer. So that's what actually makes the trade happen.
Yes, sir.
So,
go ahead.
The difference, I guess the thing that we really do is, and I'm just going to kind of jump with what you started with her, is how do you find a good realtor?
Yes, sir.
Some people don't really understand what mortgage brokers do. And the difference between a mortgage broker and a banker, if they're going into, can I say the name of companies, or if they're going into Bank of America, which are great companies, Bank of America or Wells Fargo, the difference between what they do or what they have to offer and what we have to offer is that loan officer can only offer you what's the products that particular company, that bank has. And with a mortgage broker, what we do is we're actually able to deal with several lenders, and we find out who will give you the same amount of money at a cheaper rate. So, and a lot of people don't really think about that. They just, I want to get approved for this. They said I'm approved, and this is a large company, but it's kind of like the same as buying the car. If you see a car over here on a lot, it's the same exact car, same quality and everything, brand new or used, same quality, nothing wrong with it. Which one would you want to buy? Would you want to buy the one that's, $15,000, or would you want to buy the one that's $38,000? And it's the same. It's the same thing when you're dealing with money. If I want a $100,000 loan or $300,000 loan, who's going to give me that $300,000 at the lowest interest rate?
Yes, sir.
So, and that's what we do. We bring that to the table.
Now, see, being a first-time home buyer, there were a lot of things that I did not know in that process. And one of the things that I did not know was it was such thing as an existence as a mortgage broker. So for people who may be in the same situation as I am, I'm grateful that you explained that, because not a lot of people know they have options outside of what they're presented. Especially when dealing with a realtor and they don't really know the process. So being that person, you're not truly, I guess, knowledge, having a lot of wisdom in this area. You're walking into it and you're basically following every instruction that you're getting from your realtor. What are some of the questions you want to start asking once you're being propositioned with a pre-approval letter?
That I would ask, or that
you would ask, or that you would suggest they start asking, especially making sure that they're, in, like you said, making sure they're getting it for the lowest rate. What are some of the questions that they should be asking?
Well, number one, what is the rate? What's your interest? What is it going to cost me? Those are some of the things. Some other things is that what I ask individuals, when's the last time you've seen your credit?
Yes, sir.
And what was it when you saw it? If they said it was a 660, how long ago was that?
Yes,
if it was a year ago, it may not be 660 now. But if they're sitting in front of a loan officer, what I would say to ask them, and I know they're not me, but what I would say to ask them is that, can you get me the lowest rate that's out there?
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be the major thing that most people would be afraid to tell you. And so the answer for that they should be able to tell you is that I can get you the lowest interest rate that you would qualify for.
Yes, sir.
And if they can't tell you that, if they scoot away from that, I would ask them, can you compare to Mr. Mortgage?
That's a good one.
I heard about this guy named DC Terry plug. I heard about this guy named DC Terry with Mr. Mortgage, and he says that he's getting low interest rates. We had a client a week ago that we closed on a 30-year fix at 3.25%. And
Awesome.
She walks into her bank and no one still believes that she has it because it's an unbelievable rate. So those are the questions that I would really ask. Can you compare to this? And if they run from it, run from them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So now, with that being said, a lot of people, like I said, they're completely oblivious to the situation. One thing that came up when I was dealing with mortgage lenders and in that process is the term predatory lending.
Yes.
So to somebody who doesn't know what that is, can you explain what that is and how that works against them?
Yes. A predatory lender is they're a predator, literally. They seek out. Okay, it's in me. I got to say it this way: they seek out whom they can devour.
Yes, sir.
Something back in the, it's not as talked about now, but and I won't call the names of companies, but there are a lot of companies, big name, well-known companies that you see having to consistently pay fines. And these companies have paid a lot of money these banks have paid a lot of money to seem like they're the good guys. But if you look at the fines, you'll find that they had to pay for redlining. And what redlining is when you target a certain group of people and you say, I'm actually going to approve you, even though you don't think you're approved or approvable. I'm going to approve you, and I'm going to just give you a higher interest rate because of who you are and your ignorance. That's what a predatory lender does. And they still actually do it, and they just count up the cost. They know they're going to get fined, and they just count it as the cost of doing business.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And so a lot of people who don't know that this is taking place, and even in the process of home buying, they may not ever look at their interest rates. They may not ever really take time to figure out what's going on because it's a ton of paperwork that's being thrown at you in the process. And if you're not being walked through, and you're working while going through the process, you're constantly getting headaches. You have the bank calling you, you have your realtor calling you. So these are some of the things that can kind of slip through the cracks if you're not being aware of. And so I just kind of wanted to ask that question because a lot of people don't know that you are in that moment when you got so much going on, you are in danger of making a decision that can set you up for failure for the rest of your life, thinking that it's a good idea.
Yes, sir. And that's the job. It's the job of every loan officer, but it's really the job of it. A loan officer can only do so much, but mortgage brokers, a lot of people don't know is that we have to actually, we have to do more just to keep our license. So when you go in a bank and you talk to that individual, most of them, they don't go through any continuing education. They didn't have to actually do anything to get their license, the same stuff that we had to do.
Yes, sir.
And so they don't pay this, the same fines or anything like that. So when they're dealing with people, they have to know that with brokers, they're not just a number.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that, especially with our company, we care. We're a family-owned company. So we care about people and helping people actually get their homes and being able to keep their homes.
Yes, sir.
And the same is when you're dealing with a realtor versus a real estate agent.
Yeah.
You have realtors that are doing continual education. They're being fined. They're paying to make sure they're apprised on the market and the knowledge.
Yeah.
Whereas a real estate agent, they're not held accountable.
Yeah.
You know? So even when you shopping for, like you shop for your mortgage lender, you shop for your realtor, find out don't just go get a real estate agent, a professional real estate agent. Get you a licensed realtor, somebody that's going to be held accountable by the Realtors Association.
Yes.
Somebody that's constantly getting their continual educations and all that. The realtor is there to help you guide you through the process.
Okay. Yes.
We can't answer your credit problems because we're not credit
specialists.
So we refer you back to your mortgage lender.
Yeah.
And any good realtor would tell you to shop around.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you 3 references for mortgage lenders. It's up to you to choose which one you're going to use.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so dealing with that, so just in case it skipped over for some people a little bit too quick, go back and explain to people, how do they really understand the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor just when they in that process of picking, so they make sure they get what's best for them in that situation?
A realtor will have the realtor logo.
Yeah.
It's a trademark.
Okay.
Their cards will have it. Anything they're marketing with their information on it will say realtor. It won't say real estate agent.
Okay.
Ask them to see their license.
Yeah.
Ask them do they pay into the Realtors Association? That's how you know.
Okay.
If they're a part of a Realtors Association, they're a realtor. They're getting continual education.
And so working with a real estate agent wouldn't be as beneficial for you in a long-term process. You probably get the same result, but it's not.
You won't get the same knowledge.
Yeah.
And so
and accountability.
That's the key.
That's
accountability.
The key. That's the key. So basically, that's what you're saying, that you are.
We're a licensed realtor.
Okay.
We're held accountable by CCR, NRA, and so we have to renew and continue education. We have to, stay apprised on the market, stay apprised on our knowledge, and be held accountable. So there's somebody holding us accountable for what we do.
All right. So go through the process of what somebody would have to. I'm not necessarily would have to, but once somebody gets in contact with you, just go ahead and give them an outline of what it is that you'll do for them from point of contact into carrying them out through the process.
From point of contact.
So, I'm sorry. Start with your name because
I'm Tressa Clark again with Panford Premier Real Estate, licensed realtor. When you contact me, my process is a little bit different from Judy's.
Yeah.
But we work for the same company. But what I do is I'm gonna first ask you: have you contacted the mortgage lender? Have you been pre-qualified for a home loan?
Yeah.
Because one thing I don't want to do is waste my time and waste your time out shopping for homes that you don't qualify for.
Yeah.
Once you get your pre-qualification, then we talk about, okay, what are your must-haves?
Mm-hmm.
I try to ask you for 5. What are the 5 must-haves that you want in your home? From there, we'll comprise a list. I'll search the MLS, the listing services, to see what's out there. I email you those list of homes. You go through those list of homes. I encourage you to drive around in the communities that you desire to be in.
Especially at night.
And so you can see how the neighborhood is at that time, so you can see what you're getting yourself into, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
I just moved into a new neighborhood. I drove that neighborhood every night while my home was being built, so I could see what I was getting into. Once we narrow down, I ask you for your top 5 homes. We're going to view 5 homes.
Okay.
If we can't find your home in 5 homes, it's back to the drawing table. But at that point, I'm going to suggest that you go look at the homes.
Yeah.
Go drive around. Once we find that home, we put in an offer. That offer submitted. Once it's accepted, all the documentation is submitted to your lender. From there, that's when you go through your approval process with your lender, getting that final approval, scheduling your home appraisal. Once we put that offer in, we have 10 days, a 10-day due diligence period where you get your home inspected, which my man Jamil Clark right here to my left is for. we recommend that you get a home inspection, whether it's new construction or resale home. I encourage a home inspection because you never know what could come up. And most home inspectors, some do, some don't. Depends on who you use. They'll come back and do your 11-month on a new construction, so you can have that information to put into the builder so they can make repairs as needed.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pass the mic to Jamil to talk about the home inspection process.
Yes. Like Ms. Tressa said, once a client has identified a home that they would like and they put in an offer and it's under contract, they have a 10-day due diligence period in which I come and perform a home inspection. And what I do is provide a visual, non-invasive examination of the home. It's limited to dismantling certain things and performing certain tests. It's mostly visual. I do take off some HVAC covers, electrical panels, look best I can, and try to identify any defects that may have an adverse effect on number one, safety,
yes, sir.
Number two, functionality, and number three, comfort. And I present those items to the home buyer, and if the home is in good condition, they can move forward. If the home has some defects, they'll submit a repair request to the listing agent or to the seller, and hopefully they can get as many items as possible repaired, and they're able to move forward. Sometimes it's not within their threshold, and they decide to move forward and pick another home. But that's when I come in and really help clients be realistic about the condition of the home. Sometimes they're infatuated with certain things, maybe a neighborhood, maybe a style of home. They may actually just be in a rush to relocate due to some other reasons.
Yeah.
So come through, pump the brakes a little bit, and really give them a unbiased examination of the home.
Okay. Now, just for people that, like I said, still talking about people new to this process, when you're doing the inspections, what are some examples of certain things that you might find that are important issues that they need to be aware about, can be in the home and must be dealt with before you actually consider purchasing? Like, what is something that you might have found that was like, okay, this is a red flag in this buying process?
Anything that's a potential safety hazard that could cause injury, harm, or property damage, which is many examples. On the lighter end, it could be a loose handrail on a deck.
Okay.
Seems minor, but you have children, you invite your in-laws over. The last thing you want is somebody fall over your rail at a housewarming. On the opposite end, electrical issues is a major thing because obviously electricity is not visible.
Yeah.
Many defects can be found in a home related to electricity, and you want to find those things.
Termites.
Yeah. Termites. Yes. Foundation issues. A lot of people have questions about foundations and roofs.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they're not ever gonna go on their roof.
Yeah.
Or under their home, or even be aware of what to look for as far as those components and defects. So those are some of the big ticket items.
And so some of the things that I kind of experienced when I was going through being the first time home buyer was all of the things that are out there to assist first time home buyers that a lot of people are not aware of. So can anyone here on the panel kind of give an idea of certain things that are available? But if you're a first time home buyer, what are certain programs that might be, available to you to use in the process?
Well, no, Richland County has a Richland County grant that I think, if I'm not mistaken, gives up to $8,000. You would have to be within the Richland County. There are some areas that are off limits. I think it's maybe Forest Acres area, more downtown area that's off limits. But that grant helps you buy down your interest rate, helps you with down payment, helps with closing costs. So it actually makes your home buying experience so much easier when you don't have to think about, I need to come up with this money to close on a house. The grant is there. Now, with this program, you do have to go to classes that you are required to take and complete prior to being approved for that grant.
Okay.
So the first step is going to the initial class. And this is information that your realtor is able to assist you with, especially if they're familiar with the area, they're familiar with the programs, the grants that are available to you. And the lenders encourage these grants because it makes it a little more easier on them. And so,
along with Richland County, you also have the Columbia Housing Authority, and then you also have the rural housing loan that can be done for homes that are brought in rural areas as well, and that's 100%.
Now, since you brought that up, because that was actually going to be my next question. A lot of people don't know that there are different types of loans.
Yeah.
So explain that for the person that's listening to the live. You know, you're going into the buying process and, you know, you're offered a loan, but you have an option of another loan. So explain, so what are the loans that are offered?
Mr. Mortgage.
Well, first you have a conventional loan. And with the conventional loans, that's where you're going to be putting down the minimum of 3% when it comes down to a total 3%, 5%. However, there is one conventional loan that we have that's kind of a specialty, and that's we have a 1% down program.
Wow.
And so, and you have to have scores 720 and above, but there are people who have the score, but they just don't have all of that down payment.
Yes, sir.
And that's where that program comes in. You also have the FHA loan. That's a government loan. It's 3.5% down. And then you have the VA loan. That's a 100% loan. There are a lot of veterans who, for whatever reason, and I'm a combat vet,
yes,
but and was in the industry and didn't do a VA loan because I was just getting in the industry and didn't really know all of the things that was out there for veterans.
Yes, sir.
So I would suggest any veteran that's listening or anyone that you know of that's a veteran, ensure that they go after, you know, that VA loan. And of course, you just mentioned the USDA, and that's 100% loan as well. But that particular that loan is based on the property itself and where it's located. So the property has to be eligible, and there's some income, you know, eligibilities there also.
Yes, sir. Now, when I was buying my home, I actually got approved for 2 loans, but one was the FHA, the other was the USDA. And even though I got approved for both, I could only use, you know, one based off of the conditions of the actual loan and where I bought the house and certain things. So certain people need to, and, you know, the reason why I asked that question is because a lot of people don't know that there is an option of separate loans, which I guess gives you the options of where you want to buy, what's best for you as far as down payment, closing costs. And that's another question that we want to bring up. What is the closing process like, especially when it comes to expenses? What is something that you need to prepare for financially when you're thinking about closing on a certain house?
I'm glad you actually asked that question. I had a realtor that referred a client to me, and they were pitting me against Bank of America. And they said, well, listen, your interest rate is lower, but they're going to pay my closing costs. And I said, we can pay your closing costs as well. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the individuals, they don't actually have the funds to take care of that. And they don't know that if you can afford the payment, you have the down payment, but you don't have the extra. There are things that we can do. And I'll just tell you how it's done. There's a cushion in the rate. And so what we do is, and this is whether it's a lender or broker or bank, they bump the rate. They just don't tell you. They bump the rate, and then they take that cushion that's in there, and that's what pays your closing costs. So it's not free money.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's just kind of shifting around. You pay for it over the life of the loan, which is why you want to call Mr. Mortgage, because we're going to give you that lower interest rate while still helping you pay the closing costs. And the questions that you need to ask, though, are what's all included? You must ask that, because sometimes they'll get there and they may not have enough credit left over, and they'll get to the closing table and they find out that they have a higher interest rate, or they are having to come to the table with some money.
Yes, sir.
And then also your realtor, when they're writing up the contract on the house, they could put in the offer, the seller pays your closing costs.
Yes.
I do that all the time. You know, sometimes you can't do it with new construction because the builder won't do it, so they'll refer you to their preferred lender. But that's when you go and you compare, you shop around. You like Mr. Mortgage, you say, well, they got a preferred lender that's going to pay closing costs and attorney fees. Can you do the same?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be done the same way.
Yep.
But be sure that if you're buying a resale, ask for the closing costs in your offer.
Yeah. And see, that's something that somebody might not be aware that they even have the option to do. That's something that you may not have to pay, but it's something that we hear about, especially when we're talking about buying a house. but not a lot of people know that that's something that you may not have the option of paying. Now, I know that we don't have an actual closing attorney here to give, I guess, great detail of that experience, but I just wanted people to kind of know, like, the stress that can come with closing, last minute cancellations, last minute changes, like you said, having to bring extra money to the table. Mm-hmm. So, that's the kind of real question that we want to answer, make sure that people are aware of what it's really like when it's down to that last minute wire. What are some of the things you want to make sure you have, I guess, in line and in order? That way you're greatly more prepared for whatever changes may occur.
Well, you want to have, it used to be called a HUD, but now it's a closing disclosure. We call it a CD.
Okay.
You want to have that document, and that's what tells you how much. It shows you all of your fees, and it shows you the bottom line, what you have to come to the table with. Now, one thing that you won't be able to scoot around is, that if you're getting an FHA loan, you're going to have to bring 3.5%.
Yes, sir.
So you gotta factor that in. And then anything else above that could not be included or taken care of, whether it's by the seller or through the rate, that's something that you want to make sure. But you need to make sure that you have a CD,
yes, sir,
in time. So have your money ready.
Have your money ready.
Yes,
and with the CD, your lender should go over that with you.
Yes.
And then if not, your realtor should also go over with you as well before closing, because the closing attorney will send that out. Most times I like to use MGC Law Firm when I'm doing closings because they stay on top of things. And so I'm guaranteed, I know that, hey, if there's an issue in the closing disclosure, they're immediately at my disposal, and I can contact them and say, hey, no, this is incorrect. This should be so on the other side and not on the buyer side. Yeah.
Because I'll say from personal experience, and I know we kind of with time, but I know from personal experience, I've seen in situations where there were so many changes that it changed so many times that I literally had to go and get another check at the day of closing. The lender the seller had to go and get a check at the day of closing. It was just so many things, and so and that may be the issue of something other than just the actual experience itself. But you still want to make sure that people are aware of in this process. You want to make sure you have the right realtor. You want to make sure you have the right mortgage broker or, lender. You want to make sure that you're taking the proper time to pay attention to all of these channels. Make sure that everybody who's listening to this live right now, make sure you're listening to everything that they're saying, because in this process, every person that's represented here is a key and vital, important part of this process. You need to take everything that they're saying very seriously, because every decision that you make, every step is key. And if you don't pay attention to all of the details, you're setting yourself up for failure, or you might prolong the process. What could take 3 months could turn up taking a year.
Yes.
And all of this is stuff you need to think about, because you might say, okay, well, the cutoff expenses, I'm going to move, while in the buying process, then your buying process goes from a 3 month to close to a year to close, because there's so many changes that can happen. So you want to make sure you take the time to really invest in the knowing, is my realtor working for me, or they're just working for the sale?
Yeah.
Do I really have the best mortgage rate? Am I really, paying the best interest rate? Am I getting the best information? Do I understand all of the paperwork that's being presented to me? Or am I kind of just rushing through it? These are all things that you want to ask and kind of consistently be aware of. So I'm kind of happy that we're having the show, because a lot of people don't know, what to look for in these processes. So before we go, anybody else have anything they want to, I guess, say to somebody that's watching, questions that you think they might have that they might want answers to?
Well, we all can be reached we'll all go and give our contact information.
Yeah, go ahead.
So where you can reach out to us individually with questions, concerns. My contact number, again, my name is Judy Murphy. My contact number, you can reach me, is 803-446-8174. Call, text, either one. You can contact me that way.
And at Mr. Mortgage, our number is area code 803-407-4470. Our website is www.wegetloansapproved.com. Something that I would say that you would do is, when you're speaking and you're trying to compare different companies, ask for the numbers. And when you're calling the other company, I have people that do this with me a lot. And sometimes they get offended because they think I'm too blunt. But be honest with the numbers that you're trying to beat, because the rate is what it is. So either they can get you lower, or they can't. Either we can do it, or you can't. Just get the numbers and then compare apples to apples.
Yes.
Jamil Clark, I can be reached at 803-521-4816 at integritypropertyinspectionsllc.com. The same for my social medias. And my email is jamil@integritypropertyinspectionsllc.com. And last thing I want to leave with, be honest with yourself. The same advice as Mr. Mortgage. Be honest with yourself about what you're getting into when you buy in, and not be infatuated or be unrealistic about your abilities and capabilities to renovate, fix, or make certain repairs.
Tressa Clark, Panford Premier Real Estate. Contact number is 803-331-7405. Social media is Tressa Clark Realtor on Facebook and Tressa Clark Realtor on Instagram. Hit me up.
All right. Well, that is our show for today, man. Last minute things that I want to say for anybody that's buying a home. Listen, make sure you do your credit repair, credit check before you get started. Those are all things you want to have. Make sure you check into your realtor. Make sure that you have ample amount of money into the bank account, especially even after your closing costs, just in case of any last minute repairs that may have happened that you have agreed to in the process. Any unforeseen damages that may occur that wasn't necessarily alarms for the inspection, but may happen, like the AC going out, which can be thousands of dollars to repair, and you're not ready for that. You're going from renting to buying. Those are things that you have to worry about. Just kind of take in the cost, all things that come into it. It is a great adventure once you step into it, but you have to do it with wisdom. And that's the reason why we're having the show, to make sure that you have all the wisdom that is necessary so that when you buy, it's not stress to you. And these people are great people that are going to help you to take away that stress. This is Urban City Radio, where we bring you the sound of boots on the ground. Boot up.